You wake up one ordinary morning, open your mail, and there it is. A letter that makes your hands shake before you even read the first line. It says your Medicare savings program is under review, your property tax relief might be reduced, or your state Medicaid assistance that helps pay for the prescriptions keeping your heart stable could change because of a new federal ruling. For a moment, the room feels smaller, your chest tightens. You think, not now, not after everything I've already been through. If you are over 60, you have felt that exact fear more times than you want to admit. Today, I'm going to tell you about a Supreme Court decision that just dropped in a 6-3 emergency ruling, what it really means for the benefits that keep millions of seniors independent, and why this moment in you right now could be one of the most important windows you have to protect yourself and your family before the changes reach your mailbox. I am not here to frighten you. I am here to arm you with calm, clear information so that when the next letter arrives, you open it with confidence instead of dread. Because the families who suffer the most are not the ones who planned poorly. They are the ones who never knew the rules had changed until it was too late. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how this ruling affects the programs you depend on, and I am going to share the #1 hidden move that most seniors have never heard of. A little-known appeal right that just became significantly more powerful because of this decision. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something for both of us. Comment your age and your biggest struggle right now. Just a few honest words: 68 prescriptions, 74 rent, 71 caregiving, 66 property taxes, or 69 scams. When you write it, you are not only helping me make the next video for exactly what you are living through, you are reminding every other senior watching that they are not alone. And one quick note: this is general education based on publicly available court rulings, federal guidance, and state program rules. It is not legal advice for your specific situation. Always verify with official sources: ssa.gov, medicare.gov, your state Medicaid agency, and your county assessor, because rules can vary by state. Now let's talk about what just happened, because the Supreme Court's 6-3 emergency ruling is already sending ripples through every state system that touches senior benefits. In simple terms, the court significantly limited the ability of a single federal judge to issue a nationwide injunction that blocks an entire state law or program across the country. For decades, one judge in one courtroom could sometimes freeze a state's senior property tax relief program, a Medicaid expansion for older adults, or a new SNAP benefit adjustment for the entire nation while a case was being argued. The Supreme Court just said that practice has gone too far. From now on, relief must generally be limited to the parties actually involved in the lawsuit, rather than halting a state program for everyone. Why does this matter to you? Because most of the help seniors receive, Medicare savings programs that pay your Part B premium, extra help that lowers prescription costs, state Medicaid that covers long-term care, SNAP that helps with groceries, and senior property tax relief that keeps you in your home, is run through a partnership between federal rules and state administration. When one judge could block an entire state program nationwide, seniors lived with constant uncertainty. This ruling gives states more breathing room to protect and expand those programs without fearing that one courtroom on the other side of the country can shut them down before they even begin. That is not a small legal technicality. That is the difference between a senior keeping their home or being forced to sell it, between affording medications or rationing them, between sleeping at night or lying awake wondering how they will pay the next bill. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 73 years old and lives in a modest ranch house she and her husband bought in 1987. After he passed, she relied on her survivor benefits, a small pension, and the senior property tax relief her state offered. Last year, her county tried to reduce that relief after a federal judge issued a broad injunction against several state tax programs while a lawsuit was pending. Margaret watched her tax bill jump by more than $1,400 in a single year. She started skipping her blood pressure medication because she was terrified of losing the house. Then this Supreme Court ruling came down. Her state immediately moved to reinstate the full senior exemption, arguing that the nationwide injunction no longer applied. Margaret's relief was restored. Her monthly budget breathed again. She told me with tears in her eyes, "I thought I was going to have to choose between my medicine and my home. Now I don't." That is what this ruling can mean in real life. not abstract law, but the difference between fear and dignity. Now let's go deeper, because understanding the mechanism is what gives you power. The Supreme Court did not eliminate all federal oversight. What it did was say that when a state passes a law or program designed to help its residents, especially vulnerable older residents, a single plaintiff's lawsuit should not be able to freeze that program for the entire country. This returns more decision-making power to the states. For seniors, that means state legislatures and agencies now have stronger ability to create or protect programs like expanded Medicare savings programs, QMB, SLMB, QI, state-funded property tax deferral or exemption programs, SNAP supplements for older adults, and utility assistance that kicks in during extreme heat or cold. The real-world impact is that these programs may become more stable, and in some states more generous, because the threat of one judge issuing a nationwide block has been reduced. But here is where it gets even more powerful. This ruling strengthens something many seniors have never heard of: the state-level fair hearing and reconsideration appeal process. When your state denies or reduces a benefit, or whether it is Medicaid, a Medicare savings program, property tax relief, or SNAP-E, you have the right to request a fair hearing. In the past, some states dragged their feet or limited these hearings because of fear of federal injunctions. With this Supreme Court decision limiting sweeping federal blocks, states now have clearer runway to honor these appeals without worrying that one case will shut down the entire program. That is the #1 hidden secret I promised you. Most seniors never use their state fair hearing right because they assume the government already decided, or they are too exhausted to fight. But this appeal is revolutionary. It is often faster than a federal lawsuit. It is designed specifically for people like you, and it frequently results in overturned decisions. In many states, if you request a fair hearing within the deadline, usually 30 to 90 days depending on the program, the state must hold the hearing and cannot reduce or stop your benefits until the hearing is complete. That temporary protection alone can be worth thousands of dollars while your case is reviewed. This is the move that feels hidden because no one advertises it on television. Yet for the right person at the right time, it can restore Medicare premium help, reinstate extra help for prescriptions, protect property tax relief, or keep SNAP benefits flowing. It is one of the most underused tools in the entire seniors benefit system, and this Supreme Court ruling just made it stronger. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold is 68 and lives in a state that recently expanded its senior property tax freeze program. When he applied, the county denied him, saying his income was too high. Harold felt defeated. He had already cut back on groceries to pay the rising tax bill. A neighbor told him about the state fair hearing process. Harold filed the appeal, brought his tax returns, pension statements, and medical bills, and explained how his fixed income left almost nothing after prescriptions and utilities. The hearing officer ruled in his favor. Not only did Harold get the property tax freeze, he also learned he qualified for a Medicare savings program that pays his Part B premium. His monthly breathing room increased by more than $400. Harold told me, "I thought fighting the government was impossible. Turns out, I just didn't know I had the right to speak." That is the emotional benefit of knowing your appeal rights. It replaces helplessness with dignity. Now let's talk about synergy, because this ruling makes the stacking of benefits even more important. When states have more protection from nationwide federal blocks, they can more confidently coordinate programs. A senior who qualifies for Medicaid can often automatically qualify for extra help with prescriptions and a Medicare savings program that eliminates the Part B premium. That same senior may also qualify for SNAP to reduce grocery costs and a senior property tax relief program that lowers housing expenses. When these programs work together, the effect is not additive, it is exponential. One program protects another. Lower housing costs make it easier to qualify for SNAP. Lower prescription costs free up money that keeps you under Medicaid income limits. This is not luck. This is strategic coordination. The Supreme Court ruling gives states more confidence to expand and protect these coordinated systems without fearing they will be frozen by one distant courtroom. Let me share one more story because I want you to feel the hope that is possible. Evelyn is 77. She had been paying full Medicare Part B premiums for years, even though her income was limited. She assumed she made too much because of a small pension. When her state updated its Medicare Savings Program rules after this Supreme Court decision gave them more flexibility, Evelyn's neighbor encouraged her to reapply. She was approved for the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program. Her Part B premium is now paid by the state. At the same time, she qualified for extra help, dropping her prescription copays from over $180 a month to under $12. Evelyn's daughter said her mother smiled more in the last 3 months than she had in the last 3 years. Evelyn told me simply, "I feel like someone finally sees me." That is the emotional transformation these programs create when they are used together. The deep relief of knowing you are not invisible to the system that is supposed to serve you. There is one more synergy I need you to hear before we finish. Many seniors who qualify for property tax relief also become newly eligible for SNAP or LIHEAP utility assistance because lowering one major bill changes their countable expenses. The Supreme Court ruling, by protecting state authority, makes it more likely that these local programs will remain available and properly funded. When you reduce your property tax burden through a senior exemption or freeze, you are not just saving on taxes, you are creating eligibility headroom for food assistance, energy assistance, and even Medicaid in some states. This is how small legal moves compound into real independence. Now, right here in the middle of this video, I want to ask you for a small favor that helps me keep bringing you calm, trustworthy updates instead of the panic you see everywhere else. If this information feels valuable, please tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me for the #1 secret I promised. The one that feels almost revolutionary once you understand it, because it is hiding in plain sight, and most seniors never use it. The #1 secret is this: the overlooked state reconsideration and fair hearing process that this Supreme Court ruling has quietly made far more effective. When a state denies or reduces your Medicare Savings Program, Medicaid, SNAP, or property tax relief, you have the legal right to request a fair hearing. In many states, requesting that hearing automatically continues your current benefits while the appeal is pending. That temporary protection can be worth thousands of dollars. Because the Supreme Court has limited the power of single judges to issue nationwide blocks on state programs, states now feel safer honoring these appeals without fearing their entire program will be frozen. This appeal right has always existed, but it was underused and sometimes discouraged. Today it is one of the most powerful, least known tools a senior has. You do not need a lawyer to start it in most states. You simply request the hearing in writing or by phone within the deadline listed on your denial letter, often 30 to 90 days. Many seniors win these hearings when they bring simple proof of income, medical expenses, and residency. This is the hidden move that can restore extra help, reinstate a Medicare savings program, or protect your property tax relief when a computer or caseworker made a mistake. It is revolutionary because it costs nothing, requires no courtroom, and puts the burden of proof back on the agency instead of on you. Let me tell you about one final transformation so you see what this looks like. Richard is 69. His state reduced his Medicare savings program after a paperwork glitch. He was facing an extra $170 monthly premium he could not afford. A SHIP counselor told him about the fair hearing right. Richard requested the hearing, brought 3 years of tax returns and medical bills, and explained his fixed income. The hearing officer ruled the state had miscalculated his resources. Not only was his Medicare savings program restored, he also qualified for retroactive reimbursement for the months he had paid the premium himself. Richard said, "I went from dread every time the mail came to knowing I had a voice." That restored confidence is worth more than the money. So here is what I want you to do after watching this. First, check your mail this week for any notices about Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, or property taxes. Second, if you receive any denial or reduction letter, look for the words fair hearing or appeal rights and note the deadline. Third, if you are not sure where you stand with Medicare savings programs, extra help, or property tax relief, call your local SHIP counselor or area agency on aging and ask for a benefit screening. They are free, trained, and on your side. Fourth, log into ssa.gov and make sure your address and direct deposit information are current so no letter gets lost. You do not have to do everything today. You only have to do one thing, one phone call, one request for a hearing, one comparison of your current benefits against what you might qualify for under the new stability this ruling creates. That single action can change the next 10 years of your retirement. And now I want to speak directly to your heart. Aging in this country can sometimes feel like the ground keeps shifting under your feet. New rules, new letters, new costs. But you are not standing on sand. You are standing on decades of having paid into this system, of having raised families, of having shown up even when it was hard. You have earned the right to stability. You have earned the right to understand the rules instead of fearing them. You are not behind. You are not alone. And you still have options, real, legal, accessible options that can bring relief, restore dignity, protect your independence, and give you back the quiet confidence that your later years should hold. The Supreme Court just reminded the country that states have power to protect their residents. Use that power. Ask the questions, file the appeal, claim the benefit. You have waited long enough. Comment your age and your biggest struggle. And if you decide to request a fair hearing or call ship this week, come back and type, "I asked." Because when one senior finds their voice, it gives every senior courage. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will see you in the next video where we will keep turning complicated systems into simple, hopeful steps you can actually use. You've got this, and I've got your back.